Alright, listen up everyone. They've announced that the technical regulations are changing for next season. Now there's a risk a lot of our hard work could be undone if we're not careful, so let's figure out how to mitigate this. Drivers, take a look at the developments we have and let us know what you want to invest in protecting. Alright everyone, let's get on top of this.
What's up guys, my name is Tom, welcome back to another video. Here back to my F1 2020 My Team Career Mode. Today's time for episode 18, time for the Japanese Grand Prix, one of my favorite tracks on the calendar. And as you saw in the beginning of this episode, we're going to have some regulation change for the next season. So we were already kind of expecting this because we received an email from Carl in the last few episodes, so it was kind of expected. As you can see, the quantity of resource points that we have, that we are already kind of prepared to adapt some parts. I said that I was going to seize the development in order to adapt as many parts as we can and be ready in season 2. So already thinking ahead and already giving up a little bit in the first season, already thinking in the second season. But we'll see what we can do in this Japanese Grand Prix, one of my favorite tracks on calendar, like I said, and I think we can have a good time around here. Pace on practice has been pretty decent, but now you're going to see the changes for next season, and we're going to have some upgrades from Renault, so that is going to really come in handy, especially this circuit that requires some straight line seats, especially if you want to do maybe a crazy overtake when you're going through 130R. But there he is. The changes are going to be to the chassis and the downforce, the aerodynamic department, I should say, and it's not that bad. I think we can do this pretty easily, and we are already adapting some parts. So I'm going to start with the major upgrades, and that's going to be pretty much it for this episode, and then in the next ones we're going to adapt the minor upgrades. So this is doable. We can do this pretty easily. There's not many upgrades. We're just in season 1 and our car is at the bottom, so it's not going to be much of a problem. I was expecting it to be much worse, but it seems that I didn't need to save that much resource points. But for performance chat, this is the last race before the performance patch, so Ferrari is still ahead of Red Bull, but it should be below Racing Point in the next episode, which is going to be the United States Grand Prix. Williams bringing some upgrades as well, and we are very close to Haas, now a bit further from Renault, which they brought upgrades for this weekend. But now is qualifying time, and like I was saying, based on practice has been pretty good. I had a good feeling, especially in the first sector. I'm carrying a mid more to the high downforce setup, so we're going to have some advantage compared to the other ones. I'm expecting at least that in the first sector. It's absolutely satisfying, this first sector, and definitely is one of my favorite sections of the track. Through 130R, another famous corner, and now we're going to break through the chicane, going in third gear. I always felt confident to go a higher gear than the usual. I think the usual is going in second gear, but I always prefer to go in third gear. We have always a bit of understeer, but it's the way that I feel comfortable. So for the time being, it is a one. I can see the time for the time being, but our second lap has been kinda okay. It's a 1:38.1 to beat, and I decided to go once again because there was definitely so much time left, a lot of time left on the table. And as we go through the hairpin, our lap was a bit disturbed by one of the racing points, so that's not ideal, but it doesn't matter anyway because these tires are dead and we are 3/10 down, so we're not going to improve a team radio.
Looks like rain is inbound, and we're expecting it in around 5 minutes. 5 minutes till the rain. Dries seem like the best tyre for now.
So it was expected to be dry for the whole session and for the entirety of the weekend, but it seems that we're going to have some rain, so I need to hurry up because at the moment we are in P18 and one of the Williams cars is running our lap, so please get out of the way. And yes, he got out of the way. We are 2/10 up as we're going through the hairpin, so we really need to get a good time. We're going to gain a heap amount of time here because I remember that we lost a lot of time on our first run, and we are 2/10 up and we're going through the spoon curve as we go once again in ultra speed mode and through 130R, through the chicane, and losing a bit of time on the last sector, so that's not ideal. Put the throttle as early as you can. Finally, the final corner doesn't have that annoying bump across the line, and for the time being is not enough, and we are in P18. So we're going to join me on this lap and see if we're going to improve, because sooner or later the rain is going to start to fall and no one is going to improve their previous best. So through the first corner it's been a better run. We managed to carry more speed as we do a cheeky cut in the beginning of the S session. So this is in this zone is vital to have the best racing line as you can, because if you get it wrong once you're going to your line is going to be compromised for the rest of the session, which happened to me. I carried too much speed, I was a little bit tentative and lost half a tenth of a second through the double right-hander. Absolutely satisfying, especially the first apex where you can carry so much speed. And now make sure to brake as late as you can through to the hairpin. Lock up a little bit because I'm trying to brake as hard as I can, and we're down on our previous best. So this second sector I was a bit tentative. There's not much to gain, to be honest. I think the time left on the table was especially in the first sector, but as we're going through Spoon, so another corner that you can take a lot of speed. The second apex is kind of weird for me. I can't match the AI, I'm way slower than them because somehow they always manage to get you know, that magical traction that we are already used to see in these F1 games. So not ideal, 2 tenths down on our previous best as we're going through 130. Really going to as left as I can to in order to do less meters, and we cut a little bit the chicane that resulted us to lose a bit of the back end, and unfortunately I'm afraid that's the end, and the rain is starting to fall a little bit. I don't know if you can see on your screen, but the rain is starting to fall. And unfortunately that's the end of qualifying. So once again getting knocked out of the first phase of qualifying. We beat our teammate by just 2 tenths, so this is maybe a good sign that Nick is starting to pick up the pace and already kind of matching me. So this is a good sign, but for me it's not a very positive day because I was expecting better because the pace on practice was really good. But we have a race ahead of us. There's no points in qualifying, so we'll see what we can do for the Japanese Grand Prix. It's time for the race.
Welcome along then to the magnificent Suzuka International Circuit, a stone's throw away from Ise Bay in the beautiful Japanese countryside. What surprises lie in wait for us today in the Japanese Grand Prix? We're southwest of the city of Nagoya today at the unique figure-of-8 Suzuka circuit. 3.6 miles and 18 corners make up a lap here, with average speeds approaching 136 miles per hour. DRS will be available, of course, into the potential passing opportunity at turn 1, although the best place for overtaking will be through 130R and into the final chicane. Also here, of course, is Anthony Davidson. Now, let's kick off our conversation with Alexander Albon. Looks like they've got a tough race in store today, as grid penalties from changing power unit components has forced them further down the field.
But on the bright side, at least those fresh components can help them maintain the power they need to come through the pack. I expect to see them take a more aggressive approach today to make up for the compromised start.
Before we begin, let's take a quick look at the grid lineup for today's race. Good job yesterday from Valtteri Bottas. The Finn starts from pole position, and it's Lewis Hamilton alongside. As we continue through the rest of the grid today, we have Leclerc, Verstappen, Sergio Perez, and Kvyat, Ricciardo, Norris, Stroll, and Sebastian Vettel. Ocon, Giovinazzi, Alexander Albon. They've taken a grid penalty. And Raikkonen, Grosjean, Sainz, Kevin Magnussen, and Thomas. De Vries, Latifi, Russell, and Pierre Gasly picks up the final grid slot today. Now, it's almost time for lights out, so let's go down to the track.
If we want to improve on our last race result, we need to be looking for a top half finish. Give it your best shot.
Thanks, Jeff, and welcome, guys, to the Japanese Grand Prix. We're going to start 1 place ahead of our qualifying position thanks to a penalty of Pierre Gasly. Strategy-wise, it's going to be very simple. It is a one-stop. We're going to start on the softs and then switch to the hards. We have the option to switch to the mediums, but you can see that the strategy is basically the same. So we're going to the softs. Almost everyone is going to the softs, I believe, and I don't want to lose time, especially in the first stint, where generally we are kind of strong in the second stint. Generally, I lose more time than with the softest compound tires. So we'll see what we can do in these next 27 laps for the Japanese Grand Prix. It is another Mercedes 1, 2, 5 red lights. And it slides out, and away we go. Let's see if we can get a good start. Yes, we can against the Haas, and we managed to squeeze our way between the McLaren of Carlos Sainz and the pit wall. That was really close to lose a bit of our front wing as we're going into turn 1. I tried to take a look on the Alfa Romeo of Raikkonen, but that would be really risky, and we find ourselves side by side with the Haas of Magnussen, and we managed to giving a little bit of a squeeze, and we already gained 2 positions at the end of the first corner. So it's been a very, very successful start as I'm trying to follow Raikkonen. I tried to go run as I tried to take a look because everyone Alban is going slow, but I decided to back that off, and we remain for the time being in P16. So I need to be a little bit careful. I don't know if we're going to score points in this race, but it's going to be really hard. So we'll see what we can do as we try to make a dive on Raikkonen, and that is really risky. We made a bit of contact, rubbing the wheels, and that was a bit hairy, I'm not gonna lie, but we gained the position, and that's us into P15. So maybe a little bit of a dirty move, but I saw the gap opening, and Raikkonen left the door open, so I decided to go for it, and now I think it was clear by the Haas of Magnussen. So we're going to press on. It's been once again a good start. We've been always gaining positions at the start of these Grand Prix, so definitely the lap 1 is a very strong point for us. The AI sometimes is a little bit timid, so that allows us to make sometimes these kind of wild moves. I could see Raikkonen was a little bit tempted. He left the door open, and that was pretty much it, and that was the last nail on the coffin, I can say so. But now side by side with Roman Grosjean through the 130. What a beautiful move. That says once again another place up, but that was a spectacular move on the Haas, side by side through 130. We took the inside line. Generally you got the position back when you go run outside, but I said to, I knew that, and I decided to giving a little bit of more aggressive squeeze that could have ended up in tears, I should say, and yeah, that was kind of aggressive, but needs must, we have to gain these places, and we need to be really aggressive if we want to, you know, at least get a chance to score a single point in this race. But Valtteri Bottas leads the way, and now one of the Ferrari's second place, it is Charles Leclerc, because he overtook Hamilton in the first lap. So Bottas already forming a gap, and this is really important for Bottas, because he really needs to extend his gap on the championship. So now our situation, our engine is a little bit hot too, so we have to you know, take a look on that and put in lean rest, especially on the first sector. But we have some yellow flags as we're getting closer and closer to the Red Bull of Alexander Albon. That is a slow car, and I believe he's one of the Mercedes, and it is Bottas. So the race leader has made a mistake. He made contact with Leclerc, I don't know, but Bottas lost the lead, and I'm wondering if he did this all alone, because it was I think he broke the DRS window over Leclerc, and yes, it was a mistake by Bottas, so he bottled it and lost the lead of the Grand Prix. So at the moment who leads this Grand Prix is the Ferrari of Charles Leclerc, so that was very unfortunate for Bottas. He was pushing the hardest as he could in order to break the DRS window, try to take an easy win, and he bottled it. So you gotta love the 99 awareness, Valtteri Bottas. But yeah, this is going to mean big things in the championship if Bottas finishes outside of the points, which I don't think he's going to do, because I wonder, I reckon that he's going to manage to come back to the points, because that's a Mercedes, you know. But Bottas is in some trouble at the moment, because it was cleared by Roman Grosjean, and I wonder if Bottas is in trouble, because I think he's still side by side with Grosjean. No, but there is some side by side action behind Bottas. It is between his competitor Kimi Räikkönen and Magnussen, and Räikkönen doing everything, put the throttle as hard as he can, and that was very wobbly Alfa Romeo. So Räikkönen fighting with his steering wheel, and at the end he loses the battle between Kevin Magnussen. But this is the battle ahead of us. This is Giovinazzi, the other Alfa Romeo, and the Red Bull of Alexander Albon. So Albon at the moment outside of the points. I think he had a grid penalty as well for Sebastian Vettel, so that's the reason that these guys are way down the order. But Vettel is behind McLaren, so he's not that far up the road, but Giovinazzi is trying to defend the position from the Red Bull, going defensive, but there's no need to. But Albon is starting to trying to set up a move, and this is some side-by-side action, and Vettel with a privileged view as well for the McLaren of Lando Norris. I think it is Lando Norris, and this is between Ricciardo and Sergio and Lance Stroll, if I'm not wrong, as they're going side by side. This is not really good for Vettel, because he's losing the time between these guys, and that Ferrari is definitely much stronger for now after the performance part that is going to be in the next episode. I think it's not going to be the case, but the Racing Point manages to get ahead, and Vettel trying to get a look on Lando Norris, but he can't stick the nose in, can't get enough speed, and for the time being he has to stick behind these guys. So like I was saying, he's losing time to guys that are in a different race. He needs to come back because Vettel is in a very close championship fight between the two silver arrows, so he has some chance. But Giovinazzi getting very aggressive in the defending, as you can see, going all the way to the right side of the track. So Giovinazzi really doesn't want to give up this position, and Alexander Albon finding really challenging to overtake the Alfa Romeo. But now this is for the folding place. I think Hamilton, I don't know if he's with problems as he's trying to go run outside of Sergio Perez, and they made a little bit of contact. So I think it's just tire performance, because Hamilton at the moment is on the mediums, Perez is on the softest comparative tire, but still, that is pretty impressive to see Racing Point cleaning the Mercedes. So Hamilton has a problem problems from Mercedes. Maybe Bottas made that mistake. Maybe it was a problem with his car. I don't know. But it seems that it's not being a good Sunday race for the Mercedes car for the time being. But Bottas, as you can see behind us, and that Mercedes is so quick, is catching us at the speed of light, and I can't make anything. Can we go on inside on the Red Bull? No, that's too risky because it has DRS, so it helps to mitigate the straight line speed deficit as Giovinazzi goes wide, and that allows to Albon go pass by, and we gone wide a little bit because I got a little bit scared of the rejoin of Giovinazzi, and for momentarily we were side by side with Bottas, so that was kind of a nice moment, I'm not gonna lie, but we managed to remain ahead, to keep ahead of the Mercedes. But on lap 7 I said, okay, I'm going to pit, I'm going to try to get an undercut in these guys because they are losing too much time between each other, and I think we have a good chance to get an undercut. So we're going to dress a brand new set of hard tires, and that is going to be the strategy. Tire wear is not that bad. I'm not gonna lie. Generally the tire wear in these races, I'm not the best tire saver in this game. So generally the tire wear is kind of high for me in every single race. It can be Monaco, the tire wear is going to be really high because I'm always constantly pushing, and I was stuck in between some DRS, so I was kind of impressed to see the tire wear around the 30 and the 40 odd percent. Generally it is around 50%, so setting personal best and on our lap, so it's definitely hammer time, and we're going to clear these guys. One of the McLaren Sainz, so Sainz are finding a hard time in this afternoon because he's stuck behind traffic and he can't make any sort of moves for the time being, so we're already gaining some positions, and I'm setting pretty decent lap time, so I'm expecting to do quite a nice undercut. Alexander Albon is exiting the pits, but we can't do anything, but Esteban Ocon, I think, lost some time, so that undercut might work. He's going slow through the first corner. Can you try to go right inside? What a beautiful move, as his tires are not in the optimal temperature at the moment. He is still side by side. We managed to giving a little bit of a squeeze, but that was a very sweet move on the Renault of Ocon. It was going a little bit slow. It was maybe on the tire marbles, I don't know, and his tires weren't in the optimal temperature, so that allowed us to carry a lot more speed through turn 1, and that allowed us to gain the position on the Renault. That was a pretty sweet move, I'm not gonna lie, but now everyone made their stops, and Gasly was the last one, and at the moment we are in P12, so the undercut has worked massively, but the points that at the moment the last position is occupied by Alexander Albon. He's 3 seconds up ahead. I think we have a chance to overtake Lance Stroll because he's going a little bit slow. He's on the medium tire, so Racing Point thinks that he can bring those medium tires till the end of the race, but we go round outside through the first corner. Nice move. It seems that at the moment the hard tire should be working better than the medium tires, and I think sooner or later Stroll's tires are going to start to fade away, but as I'm saying that, he's still there, he's sticking thanks to the DRS. I'm starting to run out a little of fuel and of ERS, and he's try to go on the inside, but I moved very aggressively onto the right hand side of the track. That was super aggressive in order to block him off, and we're going to watch a replay of that because that could end up in tears if I moved a little bit later, but that was a beautiful switcheroo, I can say. So doing everything in my power to defend this position, because you never know what can happen. We can have a DNF, we are in P11, so we can be a free position, and as you can see through Stroll's POV, that was super aggressive for me. And that's why sometimes I made too much contact with the AI cars, because sometimes I'm very aggressive, especially in my defending. But you never know. We can have a safety car, we can have a DNF. But I made a mistake as I'm talking, as I go onto the tire marbles, and unfortunately we lost the position to Lance Stroll, and my tires are starting to fade away a little bit. So, and we have a DRS failure, so we're not going to have any DRS to catch Stroll, and we're already losing a lot of time to the Racing Points, so definitely the tire performance is dropping massively at the moment as we lose once again the back end. So the back end of this car is starting getting a little bit unpredictable, and that allowed Carlos Sainz to go on the inside, and we lost another position, and I don't think we might catch that McLaren because I'm pushing as hard as I can and almost putting my Grand Prix to an end. And he actually set a personal best, but even with the personal best we can't do anything, and I can't defend from Carlos Sainz, and we are down into P13. So, and Charles Leclerc is out of the race. Charles Leclerc is out of the race. The race leader is out of the Japanese Grand Prix. Oh, it's unfortunate from Leclerc. He did nothing wrong, and there is a replay. Leclerc had an engine failure, and something similar happened earlier this season at a Canadian Grand Prix, I don't know if you guys remember, but Leclerc was leading a Grand Prix very comfortably and he had an engine failure, and once again it happens at Suzuka. So unfortunate for Leclerc, it did nothing wrong, and with this Hamilton is going to get an easy win, and in second place is going to be Max Verstappen. In third place I wonder if it's going to be Sergio Perez, but it's so unfortunate for Leclerc, he did nothing wrong, and once again the Ferrari reliability, the Ferrari engine betrayed him, and I'm checking the wheel because I know that if I didn't make those mistakes and managed to get ahead of Lance Stroll, I should say, not Sergio Perez, because Perez at the moment is in P11, but if I manage to stay ahead of these two guys up ahead of us, that would be a single point for me, but and that was the reason that I was checking my wheel. So for us it's going to be P12 as Ocon is trying to get a position at the last minute, so we're going to try to defend that for pride, but it's going to be a poor result for us. Once again, no points, but I think it's the best that I could do considering that the car that we have.
That's the end of the race. We'll see you in Parc Fermé.
That's it then for another fantastic Grand Prix here in Japan. A brilliant victory that has thoroughly earned the applause from the sellout crowd here today. So Anthony, what made the difference out there today?
I think that smart tyre management on track and very smooth driving definitely assisted in their victory today. That combination meant they got the absolute maximum out of their tyres at all times.
And I can see the drivers starting to approach the podium for the victory celebrations. A real team victory today. Everybody played their part. Congratulations then to Mercedes, your race winners today.
What a race. Suzuka always providing good racing, and Hamilton, it was a blessing from the skies. You can't deny that, because Bottas did that mistake while leading the championship, and then Leclerc had an engine failure and gave basically a handover the lead to Hamilton, and then a magical podium too for Sergio Perez. I think this is the first podium of Racing Point in this season, so it was a very good weekend for them, and it's 26 points on the bag, and Bottas managed to do a very nice comeback after that mistake and managed to finish in P5. So he was trying to get that position of Vettel on the last lap, but he couldn't do that, and that was pretty much it. So for us it is P12, and I'm really frustrated because I know that if I didn't make those two mistakes, I had a chance to finish ahead of Sainz and Lance Stroll, and we could score in the maximum one single point. But Hamilton takes the lead by one single point over Valtteri Bottas, and we drop into P12 in the standings. But we are doing pretty decently considering that is our first season. Constructor standings, we're still in P9, and I'm doing everything to get ahead of Alfa Romeo, but things are not looking good at the moment. But guys, that has been episode 18 of my F1 2020 My Team Career Mode. I hope you guys enjoyed, and the next episode is going to be the USA Grand Prix, so stick for that. Make sure to smash like and subscribe to see plenty more Formula 1 content, and I'll see you guys for a brand new video next time. But for now, it's goodbye.